Wow, I think Katarina said it best. How do you follow something like that? I don't think I can dance enough. I don't think we've already cried backstage.
So much.
It's been very touching, and I'm honored to be here with you to moderate a panel on how do we live the IDGs in the corporate world. And for that, I have three wonderful panelists with me. Allow me to introduce Jenny, who is the Talent and Development Manager at Ikea of Sweden. We have Nina, who is the Global Head of Societal Learning at Novartis. And we have David, who is the co-founder and co-CEO of IceBug. And all of these three standing here on stage are some of the corporate partners that we have at the IDGs, and I am really happy that I'm not the sponsoring manager, but I'm the partnership manager, because I really believe that what we are doing here is much more characterized by a partnership, and I would love to give a little bit of an impression of what is happening there. And Jenny, I know you might still be composing yourself after this really powerful talk, but I would like to invite you to just get us started and tell us a little bit of why did you bring in the IDGs? What was the need? What was the idea behind really bringing inner development and the IDGs into your work at Ikea?
Well, I guess it is to get moved, like we did with Caroline, to really understand what matters. And I was the one weeping really ugly behind scenes. So the story for Ikea, and of course Ikea is a very big company with many different organizations, was actually that there was a dear colleague sitting here who just kind of by coincidence came close. And then she felt, but this is something interesting. And it's connected to Ikea. We see that the culture and values that we're living could be connected. So let's explore. And we did. It was a couple of years ago, so it was just in the very beginning. At first we thought like, sounds a little bit fluffy, what is it? But when we came a little longer, we could see that it is very connected to where we are as a company, but there is also things that is complement. We could see that the direct link to the sustainability development goals, sustainability, SDGs, yeah, SDGs, yes. That didn't come out very good. That helped also. And then I should let someone else talk. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I like to talk, yeah.
And there were more of us backstage that were really like touched by our heart from this. And I think if I look into the faces here, we're not the only ones. Yeah, Nina, I mean, Jenny comes from Ikea. We're in Sweden, I think, as a Swedish organization. There is a natural fit, but I wanted to ask you as well, like how did you get in touch with the IDGs and what was the motivation for you to bring in this topic?
In 2018, Novartis, a Swiss medicines company, started its culture transformation as a path to reimagining medicine. And during that transformation, I was really lucky. I got to own the curiosity pillar of that transformation. And I'm not a person who's worked in public health. I've always worked in organizational transformation and in learning, and it was so powerful to start looking at this organization through the lens of curiosity and at the incredible people there really doing amazing work to bend the curve of life. And I was so inspired on a regular basis, and in that work, we engaged about 35,000 people over each year for 3 years in this curiosity work, and we started to really connect the dots across the organization. But this organization can't work in a silo. It's all about integration. And when I started to think about how to bring the wonders that we're bringing to life from inside the organization to the outside world, and then also bring the voices of the outside world to shape our own work in a more progressive way, the answer really was societal learning. So really using learning as a platform to create new knowledge, to mobilize networks, and really to create space for dialogue. And so, yeah, we started that journey through a piece of work called the Beacon of Hope Pledge in the US primarily, looking at using education, a lot of other system transformation factors to make sure that the clinical research and development that we do is inclusive and includes everybody. And then still doing a piece of work around access to medicine, primarily in low and middle income countries. But all the time I've been thinking about how to expand that to be even more integrated and larger, and that's through adaptive skills for everyone working as part of that system. And the IDGs, I think we just found each other at the right time to co-create and co-evolve together. So we're on that journey together.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Nina, just let me follow up with that. Like, I understand also that you are bringing in the IDGs also into the work that you have with external stakeholders,
Yes, exactly,
right?
yeah. So what I'm talking about is not bringing IDG. We live a culture journey internally, but it's really about helping the systems that we work with also develop these adaptive and transformative skills so that we can work better together, because these wicked problems in healthcare aren't ones that a corporate entity can solve on its own. We really need to work in ecosystems. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yes.
And David, one question that I get probably most often from people is, how can I convince my boss, or how do I convince the CEO of this that this matters? Now, you are the CEO. So do you have some advice, or do you have some thoughts on what really got you motivated to get on board with the IDGs? What was your reason to come on board?
Yeah, absolutely. So we like development, and we believe in development of people and systems. Yet, we don't have to convince the CEO or the board, but we have to convince the people in the organization that this is a good idea. So to find out if something is truly has some kind of value, or if it's just hot air, it's often good to kind of look at the contrary. So if we would be less good or worse at co-creation or presence or sense making or perspective skills, that would be really bad for the organization, right? And then we also look at the main reason we want to use the company to be a change maker for a society where people can thrive on a planet in balance, and of course then setting up a workplace so that people can develop at work. It's an important part of that. And there's this it's been a recurring theme today, these false separations. So in the business context, I think there's also false separation between who you are in your private life, and then you're often expect to play some kind of professional role. So this is a way of being able to bring your whole self to work and develop that to be able to take more long-term decisions, which isn't just about maximizing profit, but taking different stakeholders in as well.
Beautiful. And just to get a bit more concrete, how does that work? How does that look like, this work that you're doing around inner development? I mean, what or how, do I have to imagine that when I'm thinking about bringing my whole self to work?
Exactly. So we are, I like ideas and philosophy, but I'm very much a practitioner. So we had this kind of framework, which was the IDGs, which fit very well into moving from, doing leadership development to team development, and going into inner development and individual development. And this was 1.5 years ago. So the framework was there, but there was really no roadmap. But we like to dive into things. We used our organizational developer, who's a psychologist we worked with for a long time, and then we kind of worked through the different themes here. So we started with being. First had a day kickoff where we had some theory, knowledge, then some tools, but most of all also working in the mindset. And then for that 100-day sprint, that's the rhythm we use. We set up IDG groups, which are completely cross-team and where everybody participates. And then they meet every 1.5 weeks, and people are encouraged and invited to talk about what they are trying to work on and what they learned since last time. So it's trying to create a home and kind of a rhythm and a groove for this practice, to do it together and create a shared language.
Beautiful.
Nice. And Jenny, I know that you're well-deserved. Jenny, I know that you're also working internally a lot with your teams with the IDGs. Does that mirror a little bit of what David is doing, or how does that look like?
But we don't use the framework as such to integrate it in leadership approach or in a team development approach. So it's because we have pretty strong on that. It's more to see on the content, how can we use that in different situations. And when we started, it was also to get familiar. We had learning circles with some of the competence. Yeah, you're competent as well. The companies out here and some universities to learn more. And then we have tried out, for example, we have a program to get more young people that's younger than me, much younger, to actually take pretty, like, a high management position called Next Generation Ikea Leaders. And there we put the different skill sets in the middle. And then we focus not to, like the framework as such, but to the different skill. How can we praction? There I think praction, I have a hard time to talk, but you understand, right? Yeah, we do it. And there I feel that we are the same. And then with different methods and tools, we go into that. And that we're also trying now actually in a pretty big, I would not say leadership program, it's more a business and culture program. It's 300 managers, where we also put it in the middle. But we say, like those are our big business challenges. And all of them have, of course, an effect on how will we also have a more sustainable world. But we start from our business challenge. And then not only, like how can we act? It's good that I show it here, right? Yeah? So you can see that over here we will be
It is the relating one, though.
Yeah,
that's the acting.
So, but it's good. And then to see, okay, so what is the inner development then? And okay, no, Nina, what are you doing?
Wow. I think having been in the learning space over many years, I do find that a lot of times we index on one of the 5 dimensions too much, but to be whole people, which we've been talking about so much today, it's really about looking across the whole map and evolving that map. It's a continuous conversation, which makes it so beautiful. And what really interests me is, actually in the past few days, we were in the Dan Siegel Masterclass, and we spoke about the mental health of healthcare practitioners. And me and my team have really been looking at that research the past few years. And the number of healthcare practitioners who have PTSD, trauma, who are contemplating suicide it's over 50%. These people at the front line of healthcare are under incredible amounts of stress, and there's ways to help them, but then there's also helping each of us as patients, right, and holding empathy for the other side. And so actually, we're also really interested on how these skills and qualities show up for each person as a patient, and we're at the beginning of that journey of sensing into that space. And actually, if you go to the collaboration zone, there is a short questionnaire that I think almost everyone in this room has been a patient, I would think, at one point. And I'd love to hear from you. The way you can help us move it forward and move the conversation forward is by contributing your own story of how the IDGs have come to life in your patient experience, or how you would have wished for them to be there in an interaction that you had. So I think it's,
Yeah, I think speaking as also a patient, I think we all have some patient stories to tell when it comes to how IDG integrated our experience was. And I know it's still early days with the IDGs, and a lot of the initiatives we're really looking in it for the long term. But I wanted to get a sense of, like, David, if you've already seen a couple of benefits or something that has already, where you see there's a shift, there's a move within the organization, within the people that you're bringing in there.
Yeah, I definitely think so. When we switched, being was kind of difficult, and a lot of people kind of question why should we spend time with this at work. But we had some good feedback in the questionnaire as well. But when we switched to thinking, then it felt like the organization became like 30% smarter in 2 weeks. And obviously that wasn't because our IQ got higher, but we had this shared language training about thinking, having some different exercises and getting some shared language, which made it easier to go into certain things where you had more of challenges with different opinions and so on. So you could kind of isolate and think about things. So definitely. And I think also this, because we're a strange company in some ways, we want to like end up terminate business as usual. And I think this has been difficult to navigate when you come as a new person. And we were kind of thinking that this would be even more difficult when we started with these IDG groups. But this has actually been on the contrary. So you get to understand that we're strange and different faster. And also people learn, they get to know their colleagues in different teams in a deeper way, where you hear them reflecting on their development and them reflecting on thinking and being and so on. So this has been powerful for us.
Wow, amazing. And now, Jenny, I know that Ikea, I don't know if you identify actually as strange as David's company or not, but I'm curious also to see there. Have you seen any tangible benefits, any outcomes already from the people within your organization that you've exposed to the IDGs?
First, we are not strange, right? So we are totally normal. I mean,
that's why you are over here and David is there over here.
But it's hard to say if it has given. But what I can see is that it has put words on some pieces that we kind of missed. And the big gain so far, I would say, is that Ikea, being a very strong cultural company, I don't know if that is the word, but then it's also easy that you get introverts and you feel like, yeah, we know this, we have it strong. But this has opened up also to meet, like more people, like the three of you, like Caroline, like Phoebe, who has, like really supported us in Imagine something else. And I think that is the big gain so far. And another thing also is that when we started, it was the usual suspect of people from the area I represent or sustainability community. But now we also see that it's broader. It's not only us. It is getting out in the organization and other. And that is fabulous movement, I think.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Nina, you
I
have...
just want to add that I really think that, the IDGs are a meta framework of things that have existed for long swaths of time in humanity, for practices that we know to be effective and true in moving human development forward. And in the last century, there's huge amounts of research around the practices that we've now brought together into this framework. And really, the way that I think it's hugely effective in an organization is to identify your blind spots, to see where you're not spending enough time. I looked at the catalog of a large-scale learning provider recently, and we just ran, we looked through the data to see what skills they covered, and there's like one course out of 70,000 that mentions humility. So where are we not looking? And I think that's really the questions for organizations to ask. Yeah.
And as you know, we are working on the one-question survey at the moment, so there might be some more skills that are coming into the IDGs. And as we're looking into the future, I'm just kind of curious of all of you, like, where do you see the IDG movement, the IDG collaboration going? On the one hand, of course, for the planet and for our common future, but also really just from within your organization. I'd be curious. Maybe, David, you want to have a go at it?
Yeah, I think it will go from being strange to the new normal. So it's this kind of me-we dimension. You learn, you need to be the change you want to be. So you see something that happens in the world, then you need to live according to that in your company. Then you show that it can be done also in a business context, and then you share this.
Nice. How about you, Nina?
I mean, for me and for my societal learning work, I really see this as an integration platform and tool. I am always just so hungry for input and knowledge from so many other places so I can connect dots to bring new and emergent things to life. And not just the framework itself, but really the network of people now contributing to where the IDGs are evolving and heading. It really excites me because I think we can all together build something more and beautiful, and especially in the health and care space. I think if we're conscious about how we collaborate together, work together, and take action together, it can be really powerful. And of course, in all of the other spaces as well.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I'm still thinking, because it was a pretty big question, right? Where do we want to go with IDG, and how do we create a better world? Yeah. You know, and I'm thinking, but actually sharing a story, and I will try to do it without crying. Yesterday, we had a team check-in, and the question we put in the middle was, you know, like how do I imagine myself in 5 years? And we go on like, yeah, I will work here, and I will do this, and I will have that, and so. And then we came to the last person. He's 25-ish, and then he said, I can't imagine, I can't picture myself in 5 years because I have grown up with so many wars, escalating, and now, can I lay down when I say
yes,
it?
You can.
Climate crisis, you know, so I can't imagine myself in 5 years. And it's, you know, like, and going home, fun. And that stuck in me. And then I thought, like, nah, this is not how it's going to be. And I think with those skills, it's not only about acting, but if we actually could, you know, like, really, really embrace it, he and everyone else could picture it. Oh, they know.
Oh, okay.
That's your applause.
I think I just want to say to what you said, I think that a lot of times the theater of work, and I've seen it a lot in corporate life, in a lot of different organizations that I've worked with, that sometimes it takes our humanity away. And I think where the IDGs really can be most powerful, and like you said, you know, people just start to connect as humans in your organization, and it's actually just about creating the space for that dialogue to happen and for humanity to come out in people, right? So, thanks. Yeah.
I really don't think I have much more to add to that. I think, you know, people are taking the words out of my mouth already today, not leaving with any more space to bring in.
Something to add.
You have something, David. You have to be.
Oh, wait, no, I was going to say that one of the most beautiful things that I heard during this past year was one of our youngest co-workers. She's 19, so she came directly from school, and she said that whenever we have, you know, sustainability on the curriculum in school, it gets so depressing. But when I'm here, it actually installed a new hope in me, because I see that there are businesses really wanting to do something in a serious way. And I think that business needs to align so that our business targets, when we meet them, then the world is also doing well, and set targets that inspire hope.
Amazing. Wow. So I think Katarina is already around the corner and will move us off the stage very soon. But in case you are interested in reading more about some of our partners' journeys, we're launching a white paper right now written by my colleague Nicola, and you can find the download out there in the partner corner. Usually I'm hovering around that area as well, where you can find me if you would also like to bring your company into the IDG collaboration. Thank you very much.